Hi, I'm Angie Taylor and I am the Early Start tutor for family learning. I'm going to be talking today about Early Start and how we incorporated Look, Say, Sing, Play into that programme. So I shall share my screen so that you can see the slide presentation. And off we go. So I will talk to you first about what Early Start is and what it looks like when we're based in venues around York compared to currently, whilst we can only be online. I'll talk about what Look, Say, Sing, Play is and how we incorporated that into our Early Start programme and why. I'll also talk about what we discovered from incorporating Look, Say, Sing, Play into the Early Start programme, and it's quite surprising outcomes from that. Also, how parents feel about the Look, Say, Sing, Play programme, how it's helped them from simply signing up online for the email tips to using it within the Early Start programme. And I'll also show you how easy it is to find lots of information online for yourselves and for any parents that you might want to direct to Look, Say, Sing, Play. Finally, I'll ask you to reflect on how you might go on to implement Look, Say, Sing, Play within your settings or what work you do with families, and perhaps share with us how beneficial it becomes to be for you. So here is one of our Early Start flyers. It's a 10-week free course for parents, grandparents or carers of 1 and 2 year olds. We have had children as young as 8 to 9 months up to turning 3. Enjoying developing your child's language and number skills through books, rhymes and play, and learning through new experiences, learning for you, yourselves and for the children in the home and outside. On this flyer, we've got some parent quotes from parents who have previously been on the Early Start programme. It highlights how everyday simple things can be useful and important. My child is always excited to be here and I get to refresh my ideas and energy. So that was from a parent when we were based in venues. And easy to implement ideas, which is very much what it's about. So we have discussion time and idea sharing, support with a variety of issues that might crop up in day-to-day life. We get creative with everyday items and we share what works well. So we do all this by looking at different aspects of child development in this age bracket. The aim is to share and create simple, fun activities for day-to-day that can be easily resourced with just ourselves or with just a few items from around the home. We want to inspire parents to do more of what they're already doing, and whilst learning about the importance of the early years development, building a strong foundation for their children's future. We aim for it to be somewhere comfortable to come to and enjoy others' company, somewhere to feel supported and gain advice, somewhere where opinions and ideas are always valued, and somewhere to look forward to coming to. So when we're running in venues around York, it's a 2-hour class, and this consists of an hour and a half of the adults in one room, whilst the childcare team play with the children in another room, looking at activities that have been set up based around the theme that we are talking about in the adult room. So that's the first hour and a half, and then we come together for the last half an hour, and it might be where I lead an activity for all of us, or I model a particular thing to do with the children. Then we have sing-song and maybe a bit of story before home time. Whilst we can only be online, it's quite different. We have a 1-hour Zoom class each week where we come together to talk about that week's topic, share ideas for activities that have worked, and any issues that might have cropped up. The parents give each other advice on how they've dealt with something, share anecdotes, and there is also a video to accompany each week's topic with relevant information as well. It's been a great opportunity for parents to seek advice from each other about a variety of things that they might struggle with at some point. And parents who've been through that are really willing to share advice on what they did. Things like potty training, eating, sleeping, anything that crops up really. So incorporating Luxe Simple into what we were doing was really successful because it focuses on the importance of early years and that interaction between parent and child, and really helps the parents to understand that what they're doing already is really great and confirms that they're doing all the right things. It gives them inspiration to do more and how to do it. And it also uses real life scenarios that can be easily slotted into little moments throughout each day. So Luxe Simple is pretty much as it says on the tin. You look at what your baby's focusing on and how they say what you're doing and copy the sounds your baby makes. Sing along to your favourite tunes or make up your own. Play simple games and see what your child enjoys. Whether it's bath time, you're feeding, or popping to the shops, playing with your baby, talking to them, or even singing can build their brain right from birth. Thus, it's a great way to make your bond even stronger. You're probably already doing this, but we've teamed up with Vroom to give you some fun and easy tips to help you bring even more Luxe Simple into your daily routine with your baby. Vroom's early learning experts have created hundreds of brain building tips, which have already been used by over 900,000 families in the USA. So here are some examples from the Luxe Simple website of tips to try out. So you can see on here that there are arrows at the bottom so you can navigate through more tips. And each tip also has the science bit, which you can click on underneath for a bit more information on how that particular activity is brain building for your baby. So for example, just you and me. During a quiet moment, sit or lay down near your child face to face and be silent for a few seconds. Watch them. Do they look at you? If they make sounds or smile, make sounds or smile back. There's so much you can say to each other with no words at all. So these tips are very much beginning tips, and what we do in Early Start is we look at these and then we develop them onwards depending on the age of the child within the Early Start programme. So when we started incorporating Luxe Simple into Early Start, it was easy for the parents to utilise because a lot of what is here we were already doing. So these are the Luxe Simple cards for parents. We have lots of these within your council for getting out to parents of 0 to 2-year-olds. We use them in Early Start initially, selecting one to look at and put into practice over the week, and then come back and share how that went and any activities that developed along that same theme. The science bit on the back of each card is great for embedding the importance of what the parents are doing. It's also really good for reaffirming that a lot of what the parents are already doing is having a fantastic impact on the brain development of their children. The cards have, as I said, helped us to generate more ideas from them, and everything about Luxe Simple is kind of giving parents the permission to sit back a little bit and let their children lead the way. It's very much child-led. You look at what your child is doing, verbalise by saying what it is they're looking at, what they're doing in their activity, maybe create a little song around what they're doing and create games. And that's really nice because it takes a bit of the pressure off parents to constantly be thinking they've got to have lots of things planned, they've got to have oodles of resources prepared at a moment's notice. You don't need that with this. And again, the science bit confirms that simple activities that you're doing are having a big impact on brain development. So it's also encouraged parents to incorporate more singing into their everyday. We had parents who at the outset said, oh, I can't sing, I'm completely tone deaf, and in a very short space of time done a complete 180, don't care that they might be singing out of tune slightly. They have seen the impact and the response that their children have to them singing something as opposed to just saying it. And they're completely on board and embrace it. And I totally feel that the world needs more singing in it anyway. So these are a few examples of situations where the parents saw a really quick turnaround using look, say, sing, play ideas. So things like getting the children into car seats, walking to school with older siblings, getting dressed in the morning, bath times, feeding, meal times. They were quite tricky and tiring situations for the parents that they really didn't look forward to having to do, and they've turned them around in a short space of time to have the children fully cooperating and having fun and eager to do what it is that's required. So, for example, getting dressed in the morning for one parent was their 18-month-old cue to run away and hide. So they took inspiration from one of those cards that we looked at called Happy Song, and it talks about using the song if you're happy and you know it, and adapting the words to different items of clothing that you're putting on. And simply by using this and singing the song, their 18-month-old very quickly was eager to get dressed because it was an activity, it was fun. Another parent had 4 children under, I think, the age of 6 for bath time every day. And it was really not a time that they were looking forward to, had to be done. So they took inspiration from the card Bath Time Boogie and came up with a song to use at bath time, and completely, again, turned the situation around. The kids were really eager to cooperate and do what was necessary at bath time because there was a song that went along with every part of it. And Mum even reported that she felt hugely benefited from it because it was now a time that she enjoyed spending with the children. It was calm at the same time as being fun. And she got the opportunity to really enjoy her own children in a nice group activity. So that was really lovely to hear that. Another parent who has 3 children to get into 3 different car seats had a real struggle doing this, but from creating their own song to their own tune around getting into car seats and all the things that are involved in doing that, again, his 3 children were fully on board with getting into the car sensibly and doing what was necessary. So again, another parent who was really pleased to have found Look, Say, Sing, Play. So simply by turning an activity into song time, often just using a familiar tune and making up their own words to fit their situation, the children were fully on board and happy to do what was necessary. And one of the aspects of Look, Say, Sing, Play is very much the effects on mental well-being. And all parents agreed that these situations felt hugely calmer, easier, and that in turn helped them to feel calmer and just more confident about going out and about with the children and knowing that they could call on this at a moment's notice to bring the children to do what was necessary at the time. So from my own experience, my 2 boys are 18 months apart. It was a really tricky time for me when they were little. I know only too well firsthand that it was hard. And I'm a primary school teacher in the past, and even with all my experience, it was completely different having your own 2 small children. Now they're teenagers, but even though I use Look, Say, Sing, Play within my work, I've found that it filters into home life, and I now sing to the dog, sing to the cat, sing to my husband, and have had instances, especially over this past year when we've all been at home together for quite a long period of time, that using Look, Say, Sing, Play with my teenagers when they might have been reaching boiling point with each other just worked. It's really beneficial all round. Great for introducing 0 to 2 years old, but actually I think once you're on board with this, you've noticed the benefits and how effective it is, and you just continue using it. So it has been fabulous. So I asked my current early start parents to give some feedback that I could bring to you today about how Luxay Sing Play has worked for them. They all reported really positive feedback. They all agreed with what other parents had to say, even if it was something that didn't spring straight to their mind. So really nice to just see that it's having benefits for lots of families. So from things like, I enjoy the weekly tips by email, things like I've mentioned, it has lifted the energy of tricky situations. Now I've found that in my own home life with older children. It creates excitement in the children for a new activity. I am focused on what my child wants to do instead of me deciding. Singing has encouraged him to want to do something he didn't want to do in the first place. That's been quite a common theme. And again here, singing has been a great help for distracting him from something I don't want him to continue further. So that's a really useful benefit. Keeps him more active and uses up more of his energy. And here, this was interesting to hear that having early start with Luxay Sing Play enables us to go more in depth than the emails do, and it embeds more from the discussions we have. So that kind of is great evidence that Luxay Sing Play would be really beneficial within other settings. So opening up that discussion between parents who are using it to really help, like it says, embed the importance of these different activities for developing brain development and on mental well-being for the parents, creating that stronger bond, which is just great to hear. And one more tip here to focus on from a parent who was keen for me to bring this to everybody's attention. He has 3 children. The youngest one was the reason he came to the Early Start programme, but he has 2 older daughters, one who has been diagnosed autistic and another with a chromosomal deletion disability. And he noticed that the Luxay Sing Play really affected how he was able to communicate with the older 2 children as well. And they have just found it really beneficial all round for all 3 children, which is really lovely. Things like walking to school, doing road safety, loads and loads of different examples there from that parent. So Luxay Sing Play have various resources for anyone looking to implement it into their practice or introduce it to parents that they work with, come into contact with for support. And parents can easily sign up and start receiving the weekly email tips straight away. So if you simply search Luxay Sing Play York, you'll see here, this is the first page that you come to in the search. So really easy to find. Click the top option here with york.gov.uk and you'll be taken to this page. So this is the top half of the page. This video here is 2 previous early start parents talking about the benefits that they had of using Luxay Sing Play within the Early Start programme. So really worth a watch if you haven't already seen it. Lovely to hear from them what benefits they found. Further down the page, you have here 4 links to quick videos about little activity ideas to do with young babies. Really nice activity ideas if you don't already know those, or a little reminder of what could be done. Share these links with parents, use them within your settings. They're really lovely. And here are some links to various information, which is quite self-explanatory. This link here at the top is where to direct parents to sign up for the weekly email tips and hints. And this is what one of those weekly tips looks like. So you have these little short, sweet activity ideas, followed by a paragraph about the brain science that's going on within these activities and developing the brain. And they're really nice, short, concise emails, which I think is great because for new parents especially, just haven't got the headspace for reading oodles of information. And quite often when you're faced with an email that's got tons to read, you think, oh, I haven't got time for that, I'll come back to it later. It never happens, it gets forgotten. So this is great that it's short and sweet and concise and easy to do. And here we have various downloadable resources on the actual Look, Say, Sing, Play website. There's lots of things for people who work or volunteer with parents of young children. There's in there a PDF of a session plan to do with parents and their babies, and activity sheets to go along with that. So initially, it was obviously planned for a session that you would do in person with a group of parents and their babies, but I can see how it could easily be utilised through a Zoom type scenario, using the same activity sheets, just that the parents are at home in their own living rooms with baby, but could still access the activities to see how beneficial they are. So, thank you so much for listening. I hope that I've been able to do it justice and convey to you clearly what Early Start is and what Look, Say, Sing, Play is and how successful it has been combining the two together. I also hope that from listening you can see where you could utilise Look, Say, Sing, Play within your setting or the work that you are already doing with different families. If you could bear in mind the Early Start programme as something that you could refer families to, that would be great. And I'm sure that the families who will be joining us would also be really grateful for that as well. So thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to hearing from you all very soon. Bye bye.